I'm more about the daily of the TV. So, a operation cover all loot. Ablakwa any names on a person. What display evidence, concrete evidence be a I was saying we are show. No, okay, cut $12 million on my cost spending in USA. I was saying, they are coming after them. Just say 80 million. I was here. I could follow they deserve to be prosecuted. Because you could see live evidence I will project with TV so I bet you will say. What they mean some in my phone room, see any good evidence, pure statistics. Now, this is a good news. This is a very massive yeah. You could see operation cover all loot. Ablakwa a fully concrete evidence of 80 million, 12 million. Just well, pulley 12 million US a year dollar document on spending US. Well, pulling in everything ordinary. Seriously, you're going to go to him. God bless you.
Naked conflict of interest. They don't even do the job, and then it attracts a ban. Then there's the unconscionable $48 million 13th Africa Games operational expenses, which at the time, the exchange rate, it worked out to 602 million Ghana cedis. This was an expenditure in excess of appropriation. Parliament had approved only 100 million Ghana cedis, and yet over 600 million was spent. I remember that this is different from the $80 million spent on feeding, the over $3 million on accreditation cards and all of that. So that whole, All Africa Games, over $240 million, we need to really be concerned about it. There's a lot of retrievals that can happen there. Then there's the almighty $3 billion SML scam, which Manasseh did a great job on. The KPMG report has vindicated Manasseh, but there have been no retrievals. Despite all of those
contracts have been cancelled.
KPMG reports and all.
The president ordered the cancellation.
Yeah, the contract.
Of the contract.
Yes, the contract has been cancelled, but a lot of payments, had gone on, which should not have happened. But should the people walk away with their monies? We take the view that shouldn't happen. Then there is the illegal printing that took place at the Bank of Ghana. Over 80 billion Ghana cedis, Ghanaians will recall. And the law is very clear. You cannot print in excess of 5% of the previous year's revenue. And this was a clear violation. The governor has explained that, hard times, he had to do that to save the economy. We don't know how this economy was saved, but follow the law, follow due process. So over 80 billion Ghana cedis, and nobody knows what that money was used for. Then there's the 95 million Ghana cedi West Blue matter as well. They managed to get a consent judgment, which they've saddled this country with.
Is this viewer going ahead of you? He's asking, how about PDS? That's bigger.
Yes, that's going to come up. It's going ahead of me. Then there's a $12 million Ejapa payoff. You remember, we all thought we had stopped it, civil society, the media, we all thought. Then we discovered that apparently they had gone to spend $12 million in London. We think that money ought to be retrieved. Then PDS, the viewer is spot on. So $190 million lost. Then there's also
and everywhere you go. HSC University educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance, dial star 165 hash on MTN to join My Way today. DB Industries, roofing, Papa Fie. Flamingo Paints, simply superior. Syntex Tanks is strong and it's tough. Activa International Insurance. Our clients are passion. Let's hear you.
Well, thank you very much, Samson. So ORAL, as we all know, stands for Operation Recover All Loot. And this is a major plank in President Mahamad's anti-corruption agenda. You recall that during the campaign across the length and breadth of this country, he assured the Ghanaian people that the litany of scandals, and everybody knows that this has been the most scandal-riddled government ever in the history of our country. So he announced a raft of measures that he will take to deal with the canker of corruption. Oral is only one of it. He has talked about constitutional reforms to make sure that Parliament is empowered so that this fusion, this hybrid is addressed once and for all. He has also talked about passing the code of conduct, bill so that public officials can adhere to strict code of conduct. And then he says that within the first 120 days, he's going to ban politicians or his appointees from having the opportunity to purchase state assets, as has been one of the characteristics of the Akufo-Addo Bawumia era. So
you started to run a private members bill
on that. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, because of the gridlock in Parliament, we couldn't have it passed. So Oral will investigate corruption cases. It will recover the misappropriated state resources, and then the offenders will be prosecuted. That is when it is fully operational. But at this point in transition, what the president-elect has done is to have a preparatory team. And the press statement signed by the Honorable Felix Kwachiofosu is very clear. I've heard many people say, oh, are they not usurping existing institutions' mandate? What is their legal, mandate and all of that? We want to make it clear.
Legitimate questions.
Legitimate questions. And we are glad that those questions are coming up. So it's just a preparatory framework. The president-elect does not want Ghanaians to think that all of this oral campaign was just campaign talk, political talk, and that having won, he's forgotten about it. He wants to show the Ghanaian people that he is hitting the ground running and that he's committed to his anti-corruption drive. So it's just a preparatory transitional process where we are just serving as an evidence-gathering team. So we are just a conveyor belt. We will hand over to an Attorney General when he has been appointed and approved by Parliament. So we want to make that very clear. We are not going to investigate. We are not going to prosecute. We don't have that legal mandate. So it's just to make... And you see, what this does is that apart from showing the Ghanaian people that the president is committed to this anti-corruption drive, it also helps to address the impunity. Remember that when there are these transitions, some people become emboldened, they want to target certain individuals, certain assets, they want to take it back. But when you have this formalized process, and the president-elect explained that even he was receiving a lot of calls, a lot of messages. Once you have this formalized process, you go there, send your evidence there, and we have announced our interactive platforms. We've told the general public, you can reach us on 0800 900 111. That is the hotline, 0800 900 111. We also have a website, oralgh.org, or you can send an email. And the way it's been done, your identity will be protected. You don't have to worry about coming under threat because your cover has been blown. And the email is public@oralgh.org. And we announced this only yesterday. Those who
don't want to hide the identity. I saw that the Media Foundation for West Africa got you a dossier.
Yes, a whole dossier. And when you go through it, we were shocked at what we saw. And now the basis for oral, the Corruption Perception Index, and I'm glad that the grandmother of that is here herself, Auntie Mary. We have stagnated. Akufo-Addo's best performance is President Mahamet's worst performance. And GII and civil society, anti-corruption crusaders have been worried about our performance. Then you look at the Auditor General's reports year after year. Last year, the Auditor General discovered that this country lost over 8.8 billion Ghana cedis. And the Auditor General made a profound statement. He said that a lot of the funds were recoverable. And that is why Domlevo was doing surcharging, disallowances, and all of that. But that has stopped more or less since Domlevo was handed out. And so the Auditor General appointed by this president is saying that a lot of the 8.8 billion could be recovered. And that is what oral is about, that we can recover those...
Occupy Ghana audited 5 years of the Auditor General's report and found that money that was lost or stolen or misused was more than up to about 3 times what we have gone to the IMF to borrow.
And I'm not surprised at all. Indeed, conservative estimates put it at about $3 billion every year, the losses to corruption. Okay. So I'll quickly go through some of the matters that have engaged the nation's attention and agitated minds. The 25 billion banking sector cleanup. I mean, this is one area. Look at the sums involved, 25 billion.
Cities.
We in Parliament are not impressed with the accounting, with the breakdown, with the transparency about it, because we have been told by other experts that it should not have cost us more than 12.7 billion. So where did the money go, particularly when we still have people up to now who have not received their full monies that they had stored in the bank. So that's one area that, the Ghanaian people are expecting that we work on. The luxurious presidential private jet travels, when we have a presidential jet, 20,000 euros an hour, that is a matter. As we speak now, we do not know how these jets were procured, who were the middlemen and all of that. And we've lost over 100 million cedis on this Skybath, travels. We are concerned about that. The $58 million National Cathedral hole. I mean, as for the National Cathedral matter, you think about it, you don't know, what all of this madness is about. Over 339 million Ghana cedis. And as Bishop Dakeward Mills said in his resignation letter, he has built magnificent churches for far less. And he could not understand why, at the time he was resigning, $30 million had been spent, and all he saw was a pit. And that's why, after that, you've seen Reverend Isudanaba, Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, Pastor Otabil, they have all resigned. We now have a Shraj report which says that whole project is illegal. They didn't follow the procurement laws, and that retrievals have to be made. Carrie Summers is a chap in America who is keeping at $6 million. He was giving that money to go raise funds, which is against the industry practice. He should have just been given a commission after raising the funds. Then the inflationary pricing, the extortionist pricing with David Ajayi. Suddenly, under this government, David Ajayi became the sole architect, architect extraordinaire. He had all the projects from Marine Drive, Trade Fair, National Cathedral, the Parliament, the new chamber project, everything, Du Bois Center, everything. And the way he is procured under emergency circumstances, sometimes without recourse to the Procurement Act. So these are people who we will be interested in. Then the National Cathedral Secretariat continues to receive salaries. So far, three of their top secretarial officials have received about 2.2 million Ghana cedis with no work being done. So these are areas that we are concerned about. Then there's a $108 million ambulance scandal. You remember the presidential daughter's business partners. Ken Ofori-Attah's last action before he left the ministry was to authorize the release of $10 million. We have the letter attached in this presentation. We went to the OSP. Unfortunately, the OSP has not concluded work on this. We are concerned that the $34.9 million for just ambulances, which is more than the cost of the ambulance, could be paid if we do not, delve into these matters and retrieve the funds. Remember that there's an Auditor General report that also indicts the companies involved in this, that due process was not followed. So we're interested in that. Then there's a $2.8 million Sputnik V vaccine, which you recall that some shonky sheikhs appeared from Dubai. The minister says he was not thinking straight because of the COVID pressures when he appeared before a parliamentary committee. But we haven't gotten our money back. We need that $2.8 million. It has to come back. That can do a lot. Then there's the 21.3 billion COVID expenditure. Remember the special audit. The Auditor General says that there's a lot of money as part of this 21.3 billion that we can recover if we go for it. Monies that ended up being diverted, being used for political campaigns and all of that in 2020. We are all conversant with the Auditor General's report, the Ministry of Information's role and all of that. Then the $130 million Frontiers COVID-19 airport testing saga. Benedict Peters and his gang. You recall that the health minister told Parliament that at the time the company was asked to go test, it didn't even have license from HEFRA. $0.9 million was spent, and this is all you see when you go to the site. We've been asking questions. They haven't been able to tell us exactly what they did with the $11.9 million. Then there's the $250 million single source inflated road contracts awarded to Resource Access Limited, belonging to Vice President Bawumia's brother. When you read and this is from an Auditor General's report. So all of these things we are talking about are not just concoctions or fabrications. There's an Auditor General report on cocoa rows, which reveals that 85% of cocoa rows awarded were single source. And what the Auditor General did was to compare the 85% single source awarded contracts with the 15% that were competitively done. And the Auditor General discovered that the single source projects were inflated 3 times. So we didn't have value for money, and it is really sad that the people who in opposition said that they were going to make sure the era of single sourcing ends, their family members came in and took total control. This is another matter that I'm passionate about. We spent 85 million Ghana cedis renovating, well, it was supposed to be used to renovate the AC Pond, Tamale, and Accra sports stadia. We discovered that the work was not done, and we ended the ban. CAF banned us, and we have now gone into
the contract was awarded to Akufo-Addo's cousin.
Awarded to Akufo-Addo's cousin, Kelvin Oforiatta, again single sourced, and they don't get the job done. I mean, apart from the
like in a share of our comment, as a comment section, my God bless you. Stay tuned, stay connected. Daily updates sooner Ugusua Ushi. Nami ensure na nina ye operation cover all lutuno and no a sem and I just say Eden Ablakwa ABB so Eden Echere. Nami sure pass our debre na omiakuti. God bless you. Stay tuned, stay connected because oshe amamu we mupane corruption. Like and yamo mavia pagusha, we am show. We am bedding a show. The call here a Akufo-Addo ne ma any a here Gabi watcher ne sa a kukudam no. They are almost abo or minor abrono, Abusiano dene. I know dene. Tell them in some reno, middle be see I say, na makofan some for a day. Bawumia na